one. Well, good evening, everyone. I am David Roberts, as I said before, and I will be your Toastmaster for this evening. And if we can, we will start with the invocation and pledge, which I believe Olivia is going to do.
I will. If you would place your hand over your heart. Our invocation is by Albert Einstein. He said, life is like riding a bicycle. And to keep your balance, you must keep moving. And if you think about sitting on a bicycle, there's just nothing holding you up but the wheels. If you don't keep moving, you're going to fall over. So I encourage us all to keep moving. Life is like a bicycle. To keep your balance, you must keep moving. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Back to you, Toastmaster David.
Thank you, Olivia. And also, I don't know if I normally say, but my role as Toastmaster is just to handle the meeting and go over all the roles and do everything in that nature. Okay, moving on, let's start the meeting. And as we said before, we'd like to really welcome the Foley group and everybody that's new here and people that haven't met each other. You're all welcome. We're all one happy family.
Mm-hmm.
And so moving on, we will go over our role assignments. Our first role I would like to go over is the grammarian, which I believe is Reed Rogers. If you could go over that role, and also your role as all counter, since you're doing both of those.
All right, I am the grammarian and the all counter. With the grammarian, we like to look for proper use of words, and look for things that we find are should be avoided. I know a common word they like to do in some Toastmasters Club is not to use the word so. However, I've learned that that is a conjunction, so it is a proper word. But if you drag it out, like if you say and or anything like that, and then put that in there, I will take note of everybody that is speaking and give my report at the end. So for the grammarian, I'm looking for word usage. For the all counter, we're looking for crutch words, things that we rely on that are filler words that we should not do it. So the best thing to do is just to pause and continue with your sentence, and those crutch words will actually start to disappear. So, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Reed. And I think that's a really good point. Words like so and are often misused, but they can be part of a legitimate speech as well. So it's good to pay attention to that. Moving on, could we have the role of timer, please, which I believe is Maurice this evening.
Yes, my role as timer, I will be timing the prepared speeches as well as the table topics. And assuming that a speech, well, I know Wes's speech would be 2 to 3 minutes, so I'll just go off for 2 to 3 minutes. And at the 2-minute mark, you'll see the green light. At 2 minutes and 30 seconds, you'll see yellow. And at 3 minutes, you'll see red, and that's where you start to wrap up your speech. Don't abruptly stop at 3 minutes if you're still speaking. Just get to the point to where you're wrapping up your speech. And the same if for a 5 to 7 minute speech, at 5 minutes, you'll be green, 6 minutes, yellow, 7 minutes, red. For table topics, 1 to 2 minutes, at 1 minute, green, at 1.5 minutes, yellow, and at 2 minutes, red. Back to you, Toastmaster.
Thank you, Maurice. And fortuitously, I believe I just thought, have we gone over the word of the day yet? That would also be the...
No, we didn't go over the word of the day.
I guess
it's there. I don't know if can you see it? Read, probably not in the chat, huh? I can give you the definition.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Fortuitous.
Oh, go ahead.
Happening by accident or change rather than design. The similarity between the paintings may not be simply fortuitous.
Thank you very much.
happening by accident or change rather than by design.
Thank you, Reed. And moving on, can we have the role of general evaluator, which I believe is Carrie this evening? And also, Carrie, did you introduce yourself yet? If not, you could do that to the group.
No, I forgot, Terry.
It's okay. I was hidden. I was very quiet, too quiet. It's okay. One quick introduction. My name is Carrie Noma. I joined Toastmaster Hilltopper August 2019, couple months before coronavirus. But I really had a good time in person that time. And then Corona started and all the online. But so far, I still enjoy it. I'm still very active. And we have a really big one Toastmaster family. And especially I came here to US by myself. All my family is still in Japan. So this is one of my family. I really enjoy. Thank you. Okay, and tonight my role is the general evaluator. And the general evaluator is to conduct the evaluation portion of the meeting, which is the last portion of this meeting. And I will evaluate the entire meeting. I'll see you later.
Thank you, Carrie. And can we also, I'm kind of not doing them in order, but that's okay. Can we have the table topics master, Kyler, can we have your role for this evening, please?
Sure, David. Hey, everyone. I'm Kyler, and I will be the table topics master for this evening. So I like to use a couple of these little table topic prompts things, but I don't read them to you straight. I try to go with like a theme, and Olivia and I were talking about in the group chat, we were talking about doing a theme of thankfulness this year, or this meeting. So most of my questions they'll be thought-provoking, but they'll be around the theme of like Thanksgiving, thankfulness, as we kind of, start moving towards Thanksgiving and thinking about things like that. So there'll be quick questions, 1 to 2 minutes, and the goal of table topics, for those of you who are unfamiliar with it, is to sort of, kind of catch you off balance, sort of like get you to answer a question on the spot, be comfortable for that situation where you might be riding in the elevator with the boss or the CEO or whoever it is you're about to go meet with, and they ask you something real quick, so you're not like, I don't know, you just kind of get used to answering these questions and sharing things about yourself. So of course, they don't necessarily have to be about you as long as you give us a good answer that's convincing. But I find it's always easier if you talk about yourself. So with that, I return the lecture back to David.
Thank you, Kyler. And I think we can go ahead and get started with the meeting. We have 2 speakers for tonight. The first speaker is going to be Crystal Lockett, and the second will be Wes Hillstrom. So I will introduce our first speaker. Also, I did load into chat Wes's and Crystal's evaluation forms, if whoever, for the people doing the evaluations. Okay, great.
I'll do Wes evaluation.
Okay, and I believe
I have Crystal.
Crystal, very good. Very good, Buck. Thank you. Okay. Crystal is working on a pathway called Strategic Relationships. She's working on a project, Introduction to Toastmasters Mentoring. The title of her speech is An Unlikely Mentor. Crystal would like to share her latest mentoring experience and how this mentor's life has shaped her most recent thoughts as a leader and communicator. So I will now turn the lectern over to Crystal if she's ready.
Have you ever been mentored by someone you have never met? Someone that doesn't know you, and technically you only know them by the virtual area. Well, fellow Toastmasters, I have a fortuitous mentor named Dr. Darius Daniels. And today I would like to tell you how this unlikely mentor came about and how he is changing me, influencing me to become the best version of myself right now. So first I want to ask you all, do y'all know who Daniel is? Does anybody know who Daniel is? Let me look at the Hilltoppers Toastmasters. No, I'm not talking about Dr. Darius Daniels, who I just mentioned. I am talking about Daniel from the Bible. Now, do y'all know who Daniel is? Anybody? Anybody? Daniel was an amazing character in the Bible. He was influential because he stood for his principles as a believer of Christ. But not only that, he was able to still be who he was and change the environment that he was in a very different environment than the Hebrew privilege and the Hebrew background that he was used to. But he was able to change the world by being who he was and being a believer. He was a leader. When it comes to the Daniel's Den program, it's basically based off of the life of Daniel. It is a revolutionary mentoring and coaching program designed to give you the tools you need to live your best life and make a major impact in the world. So let's talk about how exactly we do that. We do that by defining what a Daniel is. Daniel is God's people doing good work in the public sector for the common good. When we talk about Daniel's Den and the public sector, Dr. Darius defines different sectors where we can influence the world as leaders and communicators. We talk about the 7 sectors of society: the religious sector, healthcare sector, education sector, social sector, arts and media, government, and the business sector. In all of these ways that we can influence the world by our beliefs, standing up for our beliefs, and still being able to adapt to whatever environment we need to as leaders. When we say for the common good, we have a commitment to add value to all people. You may not necessarily believe in what I believe in my faith, but I believe that I can add value to you as a person that wants to do good work. That is one of the things that we try to look for the best in people, despite our differences, despite my race, your race, despite if you believe in the Christian principles or not. At the end of the day, I want to be God's people doing good work in the public sector for the common good. So when Dr. Daniels created this program, which I happened to find just by luck in a sense, he talks about 4 modules that will help you improve as a leader. He talks first and foremost about spiritual intelligence. Says your success is tied to your 6th sense. Your 6th sense. I have a question. Do any of you all think you know what that 6th sense is? Let me look at the Foley Club. I'm looking here, Foley Club. Wes, is that you? You think you know what the 6th sense might be? Maybe.
Intuition.
Intuition. Okay, I like that. Anybody else?
I was going to say a gut instinct, which would be kind of like intuition.
Okay. If you are a Christian, you give me another example of something people call intuition, but it's something else in the Christian. Holy Spirit. There we go.
Yes.
There we go. With the Daniel's Den, our 6th sense is the Holy Spirit. Now, of course, I know Toastmasters, we are made up of people of diverse backgrounds. So you may not necessarily know what the Holy Spirit is, but for us, it is that 6th sense, that innermost being that we get when we are a believer in Christ. We look at the Holy Spirit and we see that we are gifted with different principles, different gifts because of that 6th sense. So with the spiritual intelligence module in the Daniel's Den, we have to take different tests in order to see what our spiritual gifts are, what our ministerial gifts are. Now, if some of you may be familiar with the APES test, which is over here on my right-hand side, it talks about the apostleship skill, prophet, being a prophet, evangelist, shepherding, teaching. I've taken this test before with my church, and it's interesting because my APES skills were differently in that season of my life than it is right now, which makes sense because right now, everything that I'm doing is more managing. I'm managing in my business. I'm managing in Toastmasters, managing the different clubs. I'm managing my family as a wife and about to be a new mom. So I have more of that apostleship and shepherding skill right now, which is very interesting to me. But I also took the spiritual gifts assessment. And once again, as administration comes up, shepherding, all these ways are things that we can look at about ourselves and see, how am I operating? So Dr. Daniels focuses on allowing us to see where we are right now and how we're using those gifts to influence our family, influence our community, and influence the people that we lead. We do this by having that sixth sense and spiritual intelligence. We also talk about emotional intelligence.
It's not me.
We also improve our emotional intelligence with Daniel's Den. We understand that our emotions affect everything we do. In fact, Toastmasters has a project that focuses on emotional intelligence. We actually have a project that allows you to take an assessment and allows you to see where you are at the current moment in your life. Are you emotionally strong? Do you know why you behave the way you do when certain people do some things? For us as Daniels, we have to realize what our emotions are, why we're behaving the way we're behaving, and how we're going to interact when others may not necessarily behave in the way we think they should. We're improving our emotional intelligence by basically learning why we do the things we do. There's an assessment for that as well. But it's so important when you are a leader because our emotions dictate everything. We have here a definition or a statement that he mentions in the Daniels Den. Emotions are a set of emotional and social skills that collectively establish how well we perceive and express ourselves, develop and maintain social relationships, cope with challenges, and how we use emotion in an effective and meaningful way. I should be able to interact with you and see, oh, I said something and it did not come off the right way because your facial expression showed me that you did not take that the right way. Let me try to rephrase it because I want to still influence you in a positive way. We should care how others react to what we're saying because we are leaders, right? We want to influence for positive change. That is emotional intelligence, and that is something we're learning in the Daniels Den. We also talk about relational intelligence when we're in the Daniels Den. Relationships are so important, and it's critical that we improve on these relationships in order to be the leaders that we're supposed to be. And lastly, leadership intelligence, something that we're here in Toastmasters trying to gain, how to become better leaders to be the best version of ourselves. So since I'm out of time, because I couldn't see the timer for a minute there, I am so glad that I came across this Daniels Den program. He was definitely a fortuitous mentor that I have met out of the blue, who is changing me to help me become the best leader and the best version of myself through principles that are faith-based as well. Mr. Toastmaster.
Unmute yourself, David.
Right, thank you, Crystal. And let me get back to this view here. That's great. Mentoring is always an important subject, and that's a great use of slides, and it's good to bring something outside of Toastmasters and bring it, into it. It's always good to look in all areas for things that can help us. So moving on to our second speech, Wes has been with us for quite a long time, or with Toastmasters, and he's our club coach. He's currently working on a pathway, effective coaching, and he's working on a project called Managing Projects Successfully. The title of his speech is The Road to Distinguished Club Status. Wes has come up with an idea to help our club achieve distinguished club status by June 30th, 2022. Let's hear what he has to say.
Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters and honored guests, I believe it's possible for Hilltoppers Toastmasters to achieve Distinguished Club status by June 30th, 2022. But what is required is an organized effort to do that. And one way to have an organized effort is to have actually a physical structure for the accomplishment of that objective. I'd like to propose such a physical structure. The project that I'm doing at this time is manage projects successfully. The project entails a project leader, myself, having a team member of up to 4 persons to come up with a plan that would benefit a larger group. The plan I have is to help to bring this Hilltoppers Toastmasters Distinguished Club level by the end of June next year. The team members I'm proposing are the president, vice president of education, vice president membership, and vice president of public relations. I think we can work together in a coordinated effort to help our club achieve that objective for the benefit of all the members. Hilltoppers is very fortunate that we are a very dynamic club. We are dedicated to the principles of communication and leadership development. We've also recently adopted Dr. Crystal Loggins-Wilson's plan of the Fall Fest Challenge. I think it's very important for Toastmasters, for our club to have its role participants pre-selected before the end of the current meeting. And also for the Toastmaster and general evaluator to follow up on role participants before the meeting. So we have a lot going for us. But I think the team could take the lead in helping Toastmasters to achieve educational goals and also to work for increasing membership as well. So I believe a team effort would be useful in helping Hilltoppers Toastmasters to achieve our objectives in achieving Distinguished Club status before the end of June 2022. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Wes, for our second speech. And it's always good to have team participation. As an engineer, I'm usually introverted and I kind of want to do everything myself, but it's always good to be delegating and have a team. And that was a great presentation on that. And thank you for helping the club. So moving on, we're running a little late, but I think it's important that we do get into table topics. So I will now turn the meeting over to our table topics master, which is Kyler for this evening.
Greetings, fellow Toastmasters and honored guests. I will be taking over for some table topics. Just so I can get an idea on the time, how many of you guys think we got time for?
I think we should do at least 2 or 3.
2 or 3? Okay.
Yeah, I was thinking at least 3, at least 2 or 3, yeah.
2 or 3. All right, we'll do that. And then I'll check back in with you guys. Let's see. So since the topic is Thanksgiving and we're talking about what are we thankful for, I'm going to kind of start off kind of broad and then maybe get a little more specific. So the first question is going to be pretty open-ended. What are you thankful for the most right now? Like, we've got a lot to be thankful for. We've got our health, everything seems to be going okay, smooth sailing. What are you the most thankful for right now? And anyone can take that question. Donovan, do I see?
No.
I
Donovan,
think I
please.
saw Donovan first.
Yes, go ahead, Donovan.
Thank you. Thank you, my fellow Toastmasters and honored guests. My question was, what am I most thankful for now? The one thing that comes to mind is my parents. The reason why is because without them, I wouldn't be in college. And it's a lot that they have done so much for me to be able to have the same experiences as other people who aren't as equal as me. And in a way, I'm not different. I'm the same as other people, even though I'm a little different. That is the reason why I'm thankful for my parents, because of their constant working, the constant badgering of me to keep challenging myself, to keep moving forward, even at times of challenges, and breaking routine to be more adjustable to things that comes my way. And I believe that is the reason why I'm in college right now, because of them and them practicing with me to be able to be successful in the world, but also to be independent like everybody else. Thank you. Back to the table topics master. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that, Donovan. That was wonderful. Your parents sound like some really great people and very much worthy of thanks. So thank you for sharing that with us. So the next question I have is a little more kind of on the silly side. So we always think about Halloween, we do a lot of decorating. Christmas, we do a lot of decorating. But for Thanksgiving, it's kind of like can be kind of like in limbo as far as decorations go. There aren't really any dedicated Thanksgiving decorations or Thanksgiving songs. And although it's a pretty important holiday, and being thankful is pretty important, although being thankful is pretty hard to market, so maybe that's part of it. But all that being said, when it's Thanksgiving and you've got family coming over, how do you prefer to decorate? What do you put up? What symbols indicate Thanksgiving to you, and should you have in the house?
I'll take this
All
one.
right, Cheyenne.
Hello, everyone. My name is Cheyenne. I have been asked, how do you decorate for Thanksgiving? While Thanksgiving does not have particularly, Thanksgiving dedicated decorations, there is an array of fall decorations that you can use. The great thing about Thanksgiving is that you can decorate for Halloween, put in general fall decorations up, and then just take down your spooky decorations and then leave the rest. So you still have like your base is there, and then you just build onto that. Now Christmas comes around, you gotta take it down, but luckily the fall things can stay up September all the way until after Thanksgiving. Back to you.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that with us. That was a good answer. And I can definitely see that, especially in our house. Like there's a general air of fall when it comes to Thanksgiving. And that just reminds me of being thankful. All right. So the next question to whoever wants to take it. And you don't have to pick a favorite by any means, but what's something that comes to your mind that one of your siblings does that you're thankful for? And this doesn't necessarily have to be a blood sibling. You may have someone who's as close to a sibling that is, a friend, or they've been, a part of your life in a close sort of way. But could you tell us a little bit about your something that a sibling has done for you that you're thankful for? All right, looks like Buck wants to take the question, so I'll turn the lectern over to you.
Thank you very much. My sister-in-law, my wife's sister, who is a very talented and very artistic person, did something this year for Halloween. She created a fall festival for our kids. Now, our family is rather large. I and my wife have 4 children. She has 2 children. Their twin brother and sister the brother has 2 children and the sister has 5 children. So we had a baseball team. And my wife's sister hosted the entire baseball team at her house. And there was all sorts of games and fun things to do. There was a horse race. There was a stick horse, and it was a barrel race, and there was these buckets out there, and they ran around the buckets and the barrel racing, and they did the balloons with the darts on a board, and there was popcorn, and there was hot dogs. There was the fishing game where you catch the fish. You put the rod with the string over the sheet, and you catch a fish or a prize or something. And there was a movies out front. When it got dark, they watched the Charlie Brown Halloween special with popcorn and movies outside on the lawn. So I am very thankful for my wife's sister and her creativity to make such a fun event for our whole gang of children. It was a lovely weekend and a great way to spend our Sunday afternoon evening. Thank you very much, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you for sharing that, Buck. That sounds awesome. That sounds like a fantastic time. That sounds like something that could be like a citywide event, like that. So there's so many different things to do. That sounds amazing. That's awesome. I'm glad that y'all's kids got to do that. That sounds really cool. Do we have time for one more question? What do you guys think?
Well, we better get moving. It's 7:30. We have to go over 2 evaluations, a general evaluation, and I think Donovan said that he even has a education overview. So we better. Okay.
Yeah, fantastic. That would be awesome. Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there. There was a little bit of a delay. But yeah, okay, that sounds awesome. Well, I'll go ahead and I will turn the lecture back to David. Thank you guys for fantastic Toastmasters. I appreciated everyone's responses. Like Donovan was saying earlier, this is his favorite portion of the meeting. It's also my favorite portion of the meeting. It's a great chance for us all to get to know each other a little bit better. So with that, I turn the lecture back to you, David.
Thank you, Kyler. And I do appreciate the table topics as well. It's a great opportunity to practice, as you said, our impromptu speaking. And I think we all did very well. Thank you, everyone, for participating. Moving on to the next portion of our meeting, we will be doing our evaluations. So I will turn the meeting over to our general evaluator, Carrie.
Good evening, everyone. I am your general evaluator. We have two speakers. That means we have 2 evaluations, which is wonderful. Let's start with the first speaker, Crystal's evaluator, who is back.
Thank you very much. Crystal, what I loved about your speech is you actually use the technology we have really well. It's just very different when you start to do a presentation in person and on Zoom at the same time, because you have 2 different audiences and you're trying to accommodate somebody that's local, and you're trying to accommodate the people on Zoom as well. And that was the first thing I noticed that you do. You had hand gestures, and your hand gestures were high enough. Your camera was positioned in a way that we could see your hand gestures on Zoom. And of course, everyone in the room could see your hand gestures. The second is you were looking at your local audience and you were looking back and forth. And so it was just like you're looking at multiple people in the audience, but you were looking back and forth from Zoom to your audience. And so you were talking to both of us. And that's a very hard thing to accomplish in these type of presentations. My absolute favorite thing is you started off your presentation and you always have this big smile. And you started off with mentioning your mentor, Dr. Daniels. And that's the purpose of this speech, is to talk about being mentored or mentoring others and what you've learned. And you made it a very good all around presentation. It wasn't a, this is the lesson I learned. You talked about this project. And as you're talking about Daniel, the Den, you started with the question of, do you know who Daniel is? And then you framed it. And you framed it as Daniel in the Bible. And you framed the whole presentation using Christian principles. And you made us feel welcome into those Christian principles and welcome into this group and the plan. And that was really a wonderful way to get everybody involved as you ask questions as well also. Another great thing. Things that I caught that I thought you could do a little better was positioning of your camera to give you a little more light so we could see you a little better. Partially that is the fault of your IT person who is not there, and I will talk to him about that. But altogether, you wrapped it all up with, you brought in your skills and you told of how your skills changed and how they are different now as an expected mother and a manager as when you first took those tests. And you wrapped it all up talking about using these skills and using these skills to make the best version of yourself. I think you did a wonderful speech. Can't wait to hear you speak again. And thank you for allowing me to evaluate.
Thank you, Buck. I like the evaluation because it's well structured. One, first, second, third, finally, all the structure. And also I really like the ratio of more positive side and challenge. And then up with the positive, especially how to use her challenge part. And you try to turn her challenge to a more positive way. I really like that. And end up with a really happy, nice conclusion. Thank you so much. Second evaluator is Olivia. Olivia will evaluate West's speech. Olivia, please.
Hello, thank you, Carrie. I am Olivia, and I will be doing the evaluation of Wes's speech, which was the road to distinguished club status. Wes, I know this speech was not fortuitous at all, yet it was well designed, well thought out. First, I'll start by saying something that I just admire about you, and that is your passion. I don't know what could stop your passion. No matter what your goal, your objectives, is always clear. No one is confused about what it is you are trying to do, what you want to do, and then you present it always very well. In your speech tonight, I would say in my general comments, you excelled at being just that. Your speech was very clear. You stated your opinion, and then you gave some facts and some different ways on how we can get our distinguished status back. If I had to think of something that I would say you might want to work on, I was getting ready to write, give yourself a little more time to do such an important speech, but you really got it done. As soon as the light turned red, you were wrapping up. So I can't think of anything else that you could have done. Funny thing, to challenge yourself, and I know you're so very well spoken and that you never need notes, but it seems sometimes as if you would slow your speaking down very slowly to give yourself chance to think of your next thought. So perhaps even if you don't use the notes, maybe make some notes, something that you can just kind of keep yourself on track, because I think you're not a fast speaker like I am. I speak way too fast. So sometimes I have to repeat myself and think like, there's no way someone understood what you just said. You barely understood what you just said. But I think you were slowing down considerably because it was evident that you were kind of giving that straight from your thoughts, which also expresses just how passionate you are, that it just comes straight from the heart. It just flows right off the tongue. I had an issue with trying to type on your evaluation form, so I don't know why it wasn't a typable format, and maybe something that I did wrong when I was doing the download. So I will send this, I will type it and send it to you. But overall, I think your speech was wonderful. I think you delivered a whole lot in those 3 minutes. And I am definitely challenged to continue our pursuit to come back to being a distinguished club. That's it for me. Thank you very much, Carrie. Back to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you, Olivia. I always like your speech, confident, calm, peaceful, and nice, really big voice, not a loud voice, it's very confident voice. Thank you so much. Also, one thing I like to share this, weeks ago, I evaluated your speech and I mentioned that it's great eye contact, but sometimes when you look at the memo, it's really look down, and that's kind we break the connection to audience, although you build the connection by giving a great eye contact. But tonight you really, I saw just once, but this is the evaluation, so not really, preparation. We couldn't prepare very well, but so I think you improve. I saw the improvement. That's which is wonderful. Thank you so much. Let's go on to the next part of the last portion of this meeting, each role's report. Let's start. I'm sorry, I think his name's Reed. You are Reed, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay,
That's
so Reed, grammarian and account report.
All right. I can tell you, grammarian is one of my toughest roles because I get so caught up into what people are saying, I neglect to catch something of the wording or anything. But I will tell you that the word of the day, Crystal mentioned it twice, Wes once, and Olivia once. As far as the counter side, Tyler got at least eight Oz, and you had one. Cheyenne, no Oz. I just got myself another one. Olivia, two at the end. You were perfect all the way through, and then toward the end, caught two Oz.
No, I caught that. I was like, what was I doing?
And then Donovan, none. Maurice, none from early on. We hadn't got your timers report yet. And then Carrie, two at the end, same thing. At the very end, just two Oz. Crystal, none. David, none. Wes, none. And then I got myself early on with two out of practice and another one just now, so a total of three. So that's it for those.
Thank you, Reed. Next, the timer, Maurice.
Yes. The times for the speeches, table topics, and evaluations for tonight. Crystal's speech was 8 minutes and 55 seconds. Speech was 3 minutes and 3 seconds. Donovan's table topic was 1 minute and 43 seconds. Cheyenne's table topic was 48 seconds. Buck's table topic was 1 minute and 44 seconds. And then Buck's evaluation of Crystal's speech was 3 minutes and 13 seconds. And Olivia's evaluation of Wes's speech was 2 minutes and 53 seconds. Back to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you, Maurice. Grammarian, account the timer.
Carrie, Wes has his hand up if you want to address him right quick.
Okay, please
Wes
go ahead.
I thank our grammarian counter for his very astute attention to our errors and our use of the word of the day. But I think the word I used was fortunate. So I don't think I quite made it on fortuitous, but thank you anyway.
Okay. All right, let's move on to make the overall evaluation of tonight's meeting. It was a wonderful and very successful meeting tonight. We had two, not one, but two speakers, table topic, evaluations, and we will have an education overview after this. We had a full meeting. And since the coronavirus, we have had a small meeting, which is okay, sometimes small group. There is of course benefit, but tonight we have 13 people. Yes, yes, yes.
Yes, I was counting them earlier. So exciting.
Yes. The meeting started on time, and we'll meeting started on time with introducing ourselves, except me. Again, we had two wonderful speakers. Thank you, Crystal and Wes. We have 3 table topics about the Thanksgiving, very seasonal topic, which is great. Thank you, Tyler. Because we had a full schedule, the meeting ran smoothly and went bam, 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 bam. And I like it. That's my personality. Do and go, bam, 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 bam. I really like it. Thank you so much again. Back to Toastmaster Davey.
I have a David.
Go ahead.
I was going to say that Donovan has agreed that he will give his education overview on next week, just so we can be respectful of everybody's time. It's 7:44 now, so technically we have about a minute or so left.
Thank you, Olivia. And I accidentally muted Wes there. I was trying to unmute myself. Just as co-host, I can mute people. I didn't mean to, but I was just going to say that it's fortuitous that Wes used the word of the day and explaining that he didn't use the word of the day. So now technically you have, so we're all good. So very good. But I'd like to thank everyone for allowing me to be your Toastmaster this evening. I think when we try something new for the first time, a hybrid meeting especially, there's going to be glitches, but overall it went well. And it's, I think we're doing quite well as a group here. And it's good to have contact with other clubs as well. And I think, Wes, you have your hand up again.
Yes, sir. We're going to briefly select our participants for the next meeting. I'll volunteer to be Toastmaster.
Okay, great.
Are we going to be a hybrid again next week, or what are we doing?
I hope so.
And also, Crystal, you have your hand up.
Yes, I wanted to see if you could ask our guest what he thought of the meeting. Our guests, well, I guess all of us are guests too, but we'll be joining you guys. Foley will be joining you all for a couple of weeks, as long as you all are allowing us to. But I wanted to hear what they thought of the meeting, as well, specifically Jonathan, because he's never been to a Toastmasters meeting.
And we see you up close. Hi, Jonathan.
I think this is great. This is
He's muted. Oh,
I'm sorry.
No, we can hear him.
This is really great. This is very helpful. A lot of the stuff that I heard is very helpful. I've actually been looking for seminars online, and I didn't know there was this. So now that I found this, I think I'm gonna play more of a part to it.
Woo-hoo! Yay! Great.
Thank you and welcome to our meeting this evening. It's amazing to me when I first came to Toastmasters how great of an experience it is to practice. I've commented before, I wish I had come here many years ago, earlier in my career. But moving on, we can go ahead and try to get our roles for next week. That's a great idea, Wes. And I believe Wes has volunteered to be Toastmaster. So do we have a volunteer for Table Topics Master? Let me go to gallery view here. Okay, Donovan is raising his hand. So we'll have Donovan for Table Topics Master. And how about General Evaluator? Anybody? I think Kyler's got his hand up. Okay, Kyler is a go for General Evaluator. Let's see, we've got the timer for next week. Anybody? Carrie's got her hand up for timer. How about grammarian for next week? We have Crystal's hand up. You're just too slow, Olivia. I'm sorry.
I know. Hey, that's okay. That's okay. I
No.
love it.
How about, would you like to be our, since we have so many people, we could have a separate all counter. Would you like to be all counter, Olivia, next week?
Okay, sure. I just wrote Crystal's name down for that.
Or,
Okay, and
or
Crystal's
gram-
going to be the grammarian, right?
I believe that's how we had it, right?
Okay.
And do we have, does anybody have do we know if anybody's speaking next week yet? We can go into easy speak, and if you're not familiar with it, you could ask one of the club officers, but and sign up or request to give a speech. So it'd be great if we had at least one, or great if we had 2 speeches next week. And I believe next week Donovan's definitely going to do an educational overview. So we'll have Donovan for that for next week.
Well, Foley, we can find
Do
one.
a speech.
Oh, there's Buck. Buck's for Foley, representing Foley. Whoa.
Okay, so Buck's going to have a speech next week.
I can do a speech.
That'll be great, Buck. We do appreciate that. And so we'll have one other open speech slot, which if speaking slot, if anyone would like to. And do you have your hand up, Wes?
I just sort of very briefly, see, that project that I'm on requires 2 speeches. One is the before, and the one is the results after the project. That's a 5 to 7. That's why the initial speech was 2 to 3. But I would encourage, back pocket speeches are good in this for some purposes, but you don't get DCP points for back pocket speeches. So I would encourage pathways presentations.
Very good. Thank you, Wes. Yes, like I say, I've completed a pathway, and it's been a remarkable experience. It's at first the running through the pathways, it seemed a little glitchy, a little bit corny, but
I put them on mute. Go ahead.
No,
sorry about that, David.
That's fine. But but it's really a remarkable experience, and I really learned a lot about myself. I'll share with some of you that don't know me. I've been in a good bit of therapy in my life, and running through pathways was almost like having a therapist, really just reflect on myself and what my personality's like and my different styles of things. So I do encourage, like Wes said, if you can find a pathways or work through a project and give a speech, it's nothing to it. Just do it. Just do it, like Nike says. And I think as Toastmaster, that's all I have. So I should turn the meeting back over to our president, Olivia.
We will need a evaluator for Buck's speech next week if someone will volunteer to be his evaluator. And Buck, if you would just send Crystal your evaluation form and an introduction if you would like for us to have it, and she will send it to us, and then we'll get you evaluator. Wes, I think you had your hand up.
The question was Buck's evaluator. That's what I was concerned about.
Oh, thank you. Okay, I will put Wes down.
Oh, no, I was saying that. Oh. I was saying that Buck needs an evaluator. I'm already Toastmaster.
Oh, okay, that's right. I already have you down for a Toastmaster. Okay, all right.
Hey, Buck, what path are you coming out of?
I've got 2 going right now.
Okay, okay. We'll give you time. I guess you give it to Crystal. That's fine.
I don't have a role at the moment, so I could be your evaluator if no one, if need be, I'd be happy to.
Okay. All right, guys, we are at 7:51, so we're a little over on our time, and Foley is just packing up and leaving us. I know they have to get out of the library, so we don't want to hold them up any further.
Sorry, the library is closing, so they wanted us to pack up. So
yes,
we got to start packing at 7:45, y'all. So please excuse us. I'm sorry.
Yes. We don't want you to get locked in there. Okay, everyone. I think that is it for us. We did a great job. I'm just gonna piggyback on what David said. Everything went lovely. I liked it. Carrie said, "Bam, bam, bam," and I like that. Carrie, I never thought that was your personality, but when you said it, I was like, yeah, I can see Carrie being very methodic, very systematic, very on point. I just want it done. And don't forget to pay the lady. Carrie is our treasurer. All right, guys, I'm not going to hold anyone up any longer. Thank you very much. And I will see you all on next Monday, same time. Have a
Bye-bye.
good night.
All right, good night, everyone.
Have a
Bye.
good week, everyone.
Thank you.